So this is my first PC build that I've ever done. I do have a background in IT a little bit. I did hold my A+ certification quite a few years ago. A long time ago, put it that way. At this point, I've probably forgotten more than I've learned, but I am familiar with the workings of a computer, how it goes together, all that stuff. Some of you may have watched the recent video that I did about buying the Xbox 360. I'll throw a picture up right here. The Xbox is gone. The reason why it's gone is I sent that back in favor of doing a PC build instead. My primary reason for doing this is I would like to start doing streaming on Twitch as just something fun to do. I feel as though I brought the YouTube channel up to a point where I consider it a success for me as far as 1,000+ subs, monetize, all that stuff. And I would like to try that with Twitch as well, and why not combine that with another passion of mine other than cars, which is gaming. This video is actually going to go over a span of probably about 2 days. I have some of the parts right now that I'm going to assemble. I have the motherboard, the processor, the SSD, the RAM, and I'm going to put all that in now, and tomorrow, at the time of filming this, is the day that the power supply, the water cooler, and everything else comes in. I'll do a complete breakdown of what the parts are as I'm assembling the computer, and at the end of the video I will have a price breakdown of what it was for this build. This is something that I wanted to do last year, but those of you that are following PC gaming or the graphics card crunch that we had over the past year or so, it was absolutely impossible to get a graphics card without paying $1,500 or more for many of the cards that were being scalped. But because of the crash with crypto mining, a lot of these cards are being unloaded and the supply is coming back up. So I was able to get a really good graphics card at MSRP to really tie this build together. The goal with this build is to have a 2K gaming machine. I have a 32-inch curved MSI monitor, and all the components are going in a Corsair 4000D airflow case, and I will get close-ups of everything more as the video goes along. I'll also have a link down to my Twitch below in the description for those of you that want to, watch me play anything on stream. Don't feel as though you have to. This isn't like the main focus of the channel, but I'm going to start integrating a lot more gaming into it just because it is more of a passion of mine. So with all that out of the way, I'm going to set this up a little bit different with the motherboard up here and the camera closer, and we'll start to assemble the first parts of this build. And when the parts come in tomorrow, the video will pick back up. It will be just like time travel for you guys. It'll be all stitched together and editing, but for me it's another day away before I can actually get this up and running. And my goal at the time of this recording is being recorded on July 4th. I want to be streaming by the weekend. This is on a Monday, so by this weekend I'd like to be streaming, and like I said, I'll have a link in the description for my Twitch channel, and also my Twitter, which will be linked, and the Discord, which is already linked. The Twitter and the Discord will be used to promote scheduling for when I'm going to go streaming. The way my work schedule works, if I'm off today on Monday, I'm not off the next Monday. So my schedule is really weird as far as my days on and off go. So I'll use those two platforms for scheduling for when I plan on streaming for the upcoming week. Now if you're wondering the processor going in this, I decided to go with Intel. It is an Intel Core i7, 12th generation. It's the 12700KF. So this is a pretty stout processor. It's got 12 cores in it. So this will definitely suit me well for streaming while playing games, and also for a video editing computer, which this is pretty much going to take the place of my laptop for video editing. So this is going to be the first component that we're putting in. And when doing this, you want to be very careful not to touch the bottom of the processor. Slides right in like that. Now I have an installed processor. Next thing we're going to do is the RAM. I have 32 gigabytes of Corsair Vengeance RGB. There is going to be a lot of RGB in this setup. It's going to look pretty cool when it's all done. I do have an AIO cooler for the top of the case, and that's RGB as well, so it's going to look pretty neat. So it'll be nice when it actually powers up, hopefully, crossing my fingers and everything works right. Now, being that this is being run with 2 sticks of RAM, it's in a dual channel configuration, you want to check your motherboard manual for how they're supposed to be inserted in the RAM slots. Generally what happens with 2 sticks of RAM though, you're going to put it in A2 and B2, which is what this calls for on this one. Yeah, both RAM sticks are now installed, and the last thing I have to do for this part of the video is installing the SSD drive. This is an NVMe drive. This is primarily what I'm going to put my operating system on for Windows 11, and I probably will put some games and stuff on here too, but I'm also looking to get some secondary drives for storage for edited videos and stuff like that. I don't want to put everything on this one drive, even though it is 1 terabyte. I still would like that benefit of just having more space. When it comes to computers and everything else, more space is always better. Now the next step in this will have to be the Wi-Fi card, which is coming for tomorrow, so I'm kind of done with the motherboard for now. I just wanted to show everyone what the graphics card is going in this, since you know what the processor is. I ended up getting an Asus and Nvidia GeForce. This is a 370 Ti. I could have gone with a 3080, but the benefits of that card is geared more towards 4K gaming. This card will do low-key 4K, but being that I don't have a 4K monitor, I didn't feel as though it was quite worth spending the extra money on the 3080 when I'm primarily focusing on 2K. And for everything that I read, this card does extremely well for 2K. It's one of the higher recommended cards, so I'm really looking forward to how this will look once it's in the system and up and running. So the next step in this process, I want to prep the case. I want to get all the fans put in and get all that taken care of before I put the motherboard in and all that. So I'm putting in all these fans, and for those that may not know, hopefully it shows up in the video, there's arrows pointing. That's the direction of the airflow. So that means the air is coming, this arrow is pointing this way. So the air is, well, the fan is pulling the air in this direction. Another way to remember that is the open face of the fan is what's sucking the air in. In this cage section here is what's pushing the air out. And this other arrow pointing up is the direction that the blade actually turns on the fan, that top one. So I'm going to go and get all these mounted in the case. I'm going to do this in a configuration where it's pulling air into the case from the front. There's going to be an exhaust fan in the back pushing the air out. And then when I mount the water cooler and get that all hooked up, the fans will be sucking air from inside the case and pulling it out in that direction. So I wanted to do an update on the progress. All the fans are installed. AIO cooler is installed, hooked up to the processor. So I think I'm at the point now, and this was many hours later. This is honestly a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be, but I'm slowly figuring things out as I go along. Cable management is not the best in here, and it's the least of my worries right now. So what I have left to do now is to install the Wi-Fi card. This room's absolutely wrecked with all kinds of parts everywhere. But we're going to try and start this up and see if everything comes on. and if I have any problems, what needs to be addressed. Hoping all the fans come on and the pump's running in. That'll be the best case scenario. Well, it took a lot of trial and error, and honestly, I'm exhausted. This was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, especially being my first time really building a PC, but it's up and it's running. Everything seems to be good, nothing's beeping. So I'm going to go through and update the BIOS and do some other updates on it and see if I can get Windows installed and get this actually running for today. I realize I did skip ahead quite a bit from where I did last, but this isn't like a step-by-step install of how to build a computer because you don't want to learn from me. This has literally taken me all day. There's been a lot of mistakes and trial and error, but we're here at this point now, so far it's been a success. Before I get to my final thoughts on what it was doing this for the first time, I told you guys at the beginning of the video I would do a price breakdown. In the description I'll have links to everything that I bought. All together, everything that I put together that's sitting right here, the computer, everything in it, and the monitor.
I declare bankruptcy!
Was $2,300. That's not counting all the other stuff that I bought to go along with this. I bought a speaker system, the desk, the mouse, the keyboard. So if you include the mouse and the keyboard, you know, you're close to $2,500 for this particular build. And like I said, I'll have a link to everything in the description. It doesn't mean that the prices are going to be the same as what I paid for it, because they will fluctuate. Some will be cheaper, some maybe more. So keep that in mind as well. This is my final analysis on everything as far as building a computer for the first time. This, of course, is a few days later, so I have a little bit more perspective on the day that I actually built it. Honestly, building it was harder than I thought it would be. The best advice I can give is to really take your time, because I started to rush through stuff and I started missing stuff and skipping steps, and it led to more problems than what I should have had. Probably the most difficult part of the whole thing was actually hooking up all the connectors that come on the case to the motherboard. Those things like the power button, there were a few other connections on there, I don't remember all of them. Very small connectors have to be put in a certain way, and I did mess that up at one point. The first time that I went to turn the computer on, I didn't even have them plugged in because, like I said, I was rushing through things. One big tip that I'll give is put your graphics card in last. Don't do what I did and have it put in first, and then try to make all those connections. I had a power connection that had to go to the motherboard from the case, and it's at the very top, and with the AIO cooler in there, it was almost impossible to get to it. So what I would say is things like the cooler and the graphics card, put those in as late as possible. Do all the connections to the motherboard from the case first. That was probably the biggest mistake that I made. Everything else went okay, it was just very time consuming. And my thoughts on gaming on PC the past few days that I've done it, I haven't done a whole lot, just a little bit. I've mostly been playing on the Xbox 360, the Xbox Elite controller. This was from when I had the Xbox Series X. I kept the controller. I didn't want to send that back because I knew I would be using it for this build. Overall, PC gaming, I kind of see why they call it the master race now. It's a lot more involved and intense than console gaming. A lot more freedoms, and It doesn't mean I'm not going to play console games. It just means that when I have the option now of if I can play it on PC or console, well, when I say console, I mean PS5, that just means that I'm probably going to play it on PC instead. The exclusive games like God of War, which was just announced for its release date for November, I forgot what day it was now. I know it's November. Don't worry about it. I'll remind you guys when it comes out again. I will stream that on the PS5. I'm going to hook the PS5 up here in this room and stream it off this monitor, and I'll stream that on Twitch as well. So now that this video is done and out, if you would like to watch me play anything, I plan on streaming probably throughout this weekend. Today is July 7th, Bungie Day, for those of you that play Destiny. I'm going to stream tonight, tomorrow, Saturday night. So if you watch this video in the next couple of days, jump into the stream if you want to watch me go through and play anything. I'll have my stream schedule linked in the Discord. The Discord is also in the description of the video. If you want to join that, you can do that. And my Twitter, I'll also use that for weekly schedules and days that I'll be going on Twitch to do streaming. So I hope you found the video informative. I definitely learned a lot as far as building a PC for the first time. If I went to do it again, I definitely wouldn't make as many mistakes as I did the first time. But the point is, it's up and it's running, and it looks damn good. So feel free to leave the video a like if you did like the video, and subscribe to help the channel out. But above all else, thanks for watching.